In a day filled with significant global developments, tensions between Russia and Ukraine heighten as leaders exchange harsh words. Meanwhile, a maritime drone incident raises security concerns in Romania. Here are today's top 10 stories you need to know. Tech companies are facing increasing scrutiny as lawmakers examine data privacy and consumer protection regulations. Recent reports have highlighted concerns over how personal data is collected, used, and stored. Lawmakers are pushing for stricter regulations to protect consumers and enhance transparency. This scrutiny comes in the wake of several high-profile data breaches that have alarmed the public. Consumer advocates are calling for immediate action to safeguard privacy rights. As lawmakers prepare to introduce new legislation, tech companies are bracing for potential changes in their operations. The outcome of these discussions could have lasting effects on the industry and how it interacts with consumers. As the landscape of digital privacy continues to evolve, the need for responsible practices becomes more urgent. Stakeholders are awaiting the results of these legislative efforts as they could reshape the future of technology. In response to the ongoing public health crisis, new health regulations have been announced in several countries to combat rising infection rates. These measures include mandatory vaccinations, mask mandates, and capacity limits for public gatherings. Health officials are urging citizens to comply with these regulations to prevent further outbreaks. The announcement has drawn mixed reactions from the public, with some expressing support, while others voice their discontent. The efficacy of these measures remains a topic of debate among experts. As the situation continues to evolve, governments are tasked with balancing public health needs with individual freedoms. The international community is closely watching these developments, as the implications of these regulations could set a precedent for future health crises. Ongoing communication between health authorities and citizens will be crucial in navigating this complex landscape. Political unrest has erupted in several Latin American countries, with protests and demonstrations demanding government accountability and reform. Citizens are voicing their frustrations over corruption, economic inequality, and inadequate public services. In response, governments have deployed security forces to quell the unrest, leading to clashes in the streets. Human rights organizations are closely monitoring the situation, warning that excessive force could exacerbate tensions. The social fabric of these nations is being tested as citizens demand change. International observers are calling for dialogue between governments and citizens to address the root causes of discontent. As protests continue, the potential for escalation remains high, and the world watches to see how these governments will respond. The future stability of the region hangs in the balance as the calls for justice grow louder. The global economic outlook has taken a turn for the worse, with analysts predicting slower growth amid rising inflation and persistent supply chain disruptions. Key markets, including the United States and Europe, are showing signs of strain, with several economies facing potential recessions as consumer spending declines. Central banks are under increasing pressure to manage interest rates effectively while addressing inflation concerns, which have reached multi-decade highs. This uncertainty has led to significant market volatility, negatively affecting investments and eroding consumer confidence. As businesses struggle to adapt to these challenging conditions, many are calling for targeted fiscal stimulus measures to mitigate the impact on vulnerable sectors. Economists warn that without decisive action, the economic landscape could worsen, risking unemployment and financial instability for millions worldwide. The interconnected nature of global markets means these challenges will not remain isolated. Policymakers must prioritize international cooperation and act promptly to stabilize markets and foster recovery, particularly as we approach critical economic decision points in the coming months. As climate change continues to take its toll, numerous regions around the globe are facing unprecedented weather disasters. From wildfires in the Mediterranean to floods in Southeast Asia, the impacts of climate change are becoming more evident. Experts warn that these extreme weather events are likely to increase in frequency and severity. The humanitarian crises that arise from these disasters are staggering, with millions displaced and in urgent need of assistance. International organizations are scrambling to provide aid, but resources are stretched thin. Governments are being urged to take more aggressive action to combat climate change and invest in sustainable practices. The link between climate change and these disasters is undeniable, and scientists are advocating for immediate policy changes. As the world grapples with these challenges, it is crucial for nations to collaborate in mitigating the effects of climate change and preparing for future disasters. A bizarre case has emerged from Massachusetts, where a 70-year-old man faces attempted murder charges after allegedly attacking another individual with a jet ski. The incident occurred on a local lake, where witnesses reported a chaotic scene as the suspect drove the jet ski aggressively toward the victim, striking him multiple times. Authorities were called to the scene following numerous complaints of reckless behavior, and the victim sustained serious injuries, requiring immediate medical attention at a nearby hospital. This unusual case has drawn significant media attention, raising questions about safety regulations on recreational watercraft, particularly as jet skis become more popular in summer months. Legal experts suggest that the outcome of this case could set a crucial precedent for how similar incidents are handled in the future, potentially influencing legislation regarding personal watercraft usage. The local community is in shock, grappling with the ramifications of such an unusual act of violence. As the court proceedings commence, many residents are keen to see how the law will navigate this unprecedented situation, which may reshape future regulations. A police pursuit in Los Angeles has ended in tragedy after a suspect was fatally shot during a dramatic standoff with law enforcement. The incident began with a high-speed chase that lasted several hours, drawing significant attention from onlookers and the media. Officers attempted to apprehend the suspect, wanted for multiple offenses, including armed robbery and assault. As the pursuit unfolded, the situation escalated, leading to the deployment of specialized units, including SWAT. Eyewitness accounts reveal chaotic scenes, with police urging bystanders to stay clear of the area for their safety. This incident has reignited a heated debate about police tactics, particularly regarding the use of deadly force. Community members are demanding transparency and accountability, emphasizing the need for reform in policing practices. The tragic outcome raises critical questions about the effectiveness of current law enforcement strategies in high-stakes situations. As investigations continue, city officials are urged to consider alternative approaches to handling pursuits, aiming to prevent future tragedies and restore public trust in police. David Rush, a former CIA official, has been arrested after investigators uncovered gold bars worth approximately $40 million in his possession. This startling discovery was made during a comprehensive probe into allegations of money laundering and corruption linked to Rush. Authorities executed a search warrant at his residence, unearthing the shocking find that has sent ripples through the intelligence community. Rush, who played a role in several high-profile operations during his tenure, is now at the center of a scandal that raises serious questions about the integrity of former officials. Legal experts suggest that this case could lead to a significant trial, potentially revealing more about the inner workings of the CIA and its oversight mechanisms. The implications of this arrest are profound, prompting calls for a thorough review of past operations to ensure accountability and transparency within intelligence agencies. As the investigation progresses, it may lead to reforms aimed at preventing similar abuses of power. Stakeholders will be closely monitoring how this case unfolds in the coming months, as it could reshape policies and practices in intelligence operations. A maritime drone explosion has caused alarm in Romania, with initial investigations pointing towards a potential security breach. The incident occurred off the Black Sea coast, where authorities reported that a drone detonated near a busy shipping lane, raising serious concerns about the safety of maritime operations in the region. The Black Sea has increasingly become a hotspot for military activity, particularly following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has intensified geopolitical tensions. Romanian officials are currently assessing the situation and have heightened security protocols, including increased naval patrols and surveillance in the area. This explosion has drawn attention to the growing use of drones in naval conflicts, highlighting vulnerabilities in maritime security. Experts suggest that this incident could signify a new phase in regional tensions, emphasizing the urgent need for improved surveillance and defense measures. Additionally, this event may prompt international discussions on maritime security frameworks and the rules of engagement for drone usage in conflict zones. As investigations continue, the Romanian government is expected to collaborate with NATO allies to address these security challenges. The situation underscores the critical need for a coordinated response to prevent further escalations in the Black Sea and ensure the safety of international shipping routes. In a notable exchange, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky have intensified their verbal sparring, with accusations flying on both sides. This escalation occurs against the backdrop of a protracted conflict that began in 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea, leading to ongoing military confrontations in eastern Ukraine. Reports indicate a resurgence in violence, particularly in the Donbas region, where heavy fighting has escalated recently. Both nations accuse each other of violating ceasefire agreements, further complicating the already fragile situation. Analysts warn that this exchange of heated rhetoric could severely strain diplomatic efforts aimed at de-escalation. The implications of this back and forth are significant, as it raises fears of an imminent large-scale military operation, which could have devastating consequences for civilians caught in the crossfire. As both leaders prepare for upcoming international discussions, there is growing concern that the escalation could derail any peace talks and solidify entrenched positions. The international community is now keenly observing for signs of a potential ceasefire or further military action. With mounting tensions and a lack of trust, the situation continues to evolve, leaving many to question how long this cycle of aggression will persist. Moving forward, the coming weeks will be critical in determining whether diplomatic channels can be revived or if the conflict will spiral into a deeper crisis. Thank you for watching today's news roundup. Which story shocked you the most? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth coverage.